start this darn thing and welcome our audience, if I may. Um, Greetings. You're now getting the Brady Bunch view, I think, of this motley group. My name is Mike Blinder, and I am the publisher of E&P Magazine. And as we do on an occasional regular basis, I used to use that a lot as a disc jockey in my days, we have these marketing webinars where we bring in our marketing partners at E&P and provide a real in-depth look at the solutions they provide, but our preference is to always do it at the customer level. In other words, not just, have a bunch of PowerPoints playing away here. I once saw John Meacham on TV, the famous historian, say, those he has met with a PowerPoint usually possess neither. I'll let that cook for a bit. You can see if you could giggle or laugh at it. You can steal that if you want. But no, what we like to do is really do a true case study on how a solution, whether it's one that builds audience, whether it's one that builds efficiency, whether it's one that builds revenue, those are the three hot buttons that we report on here at E&P, and how they impact in the news media sphere. And that's what this is all about, because we're not only privileged to have our marketing partner here, Evan Young and Josh Brando, our partners from Nota, a company that, full disclosure, E&P works with and uses and finds efficiency in our newsroom. I'm honored to bring in Clyde Jiles of the Houston Defender. Those of you that do not know the Houston Defender do not know an amazing publication. Clyde, welcome to the program. You're now muted, Clyde. There you go. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. Beautiful introduction. We feel warmly welcomed over here.
Well, let's talk about the Houston Defender, if we may, and put our marketing partners aside just for a little bit, because I think it's important, Josh, that you tell us a little bit more about Giles, about your Clyde, about your publication and the audience you serve, and moreover, the innovative things you're doing in journalism today, which are many.
Yeah. So right now, what we do is we serve, our tagline is, we're Houston Defender, Houston's leading Black information source. Used to consider ourselves Houston's leading Black newspaper, but as information changed, as people consuming information changed, we had to change. So we became an information source, i.e., digital platforms. Our newsletters started getting a lot stronger and focusing time on those. But we specifically, audience-wise, focus on the Houston, Black local Houston area. We segment our audience into three specific areas: under 40, a community central, which is community events and community happenings. And our third one is Black women. So we changed our approach from before, which it used to be, let's approach all of Black people. But the truth of the matter is, we are not a monolith. You cannot speak to all of us and expect each one of us for the message to resound with. So that's what we do. We make it special, and we don't choose to speak for Black people in Houston. Our role is to be a platform for them and for their voices to resonate in a louder space. So that's our role.
Clyde, if you listen to this program, we sometimes go to ChatGPT to define who our guests are, because every other article we do now is about AI, and this program's about AI. ChatGPT describes you as a strategic alliance manager at the Defender Network, as the youngest son of Sonny Messiah Giles.
Syria, Messiah Giles. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but we just call it Sonny.
But Sonny, the CEO and publisher of Defender, you're the youngest. It's right here in ChatGPT 2024. You expanded your responsibilities by introducing the Defender Store, a division that offers high-quality, award-winning photographs from high school sports. So, can you just what does a strategic alliance manager do?
So the funny thing about it is, and I'm going to be very transparent with y'all. Strategic alliance manager really was just a title that said you do everything and anything. So when it comes to strategic alliance, what my responsibility is really, I'm the digital head, and I'm responsible for bringing people and companies to the Defender so that we can basically get messaging to our audience in a strategic way that helps both parties. So that was a large part of what the strategic alliance helm was, but really and truly, that was a title that was put on it to say, hey, you're still going to do six other things, so be comfortable with it. That's one of the perks of having your mother as the boss. Yeah, so it's one of the things that we had to do, and speaking to the photographs and the store, is like I said, we had to shift from just being a newspaper. We had to diversify our revenue streams. We had to think outside the box. One of our surprisingly most powerful areas that we got, that was one of our biggest audience, was high school sports. We cover 3 high school sports games a week. And we thought to ourselves, well, how do we monetize this? How do we get a deeper relationship with our audience? So we switched it up and we started doing videos. And in the videos, we would always have photographs. We've been taking photographs for years, never thought about selling them. So I said, all right, let's put them on a platform and see what they'll do. And when I tell you, the aunts, the cousins, the dads,
Yeah.
everybody was coming out to buy them because we weren't selling them for as expensive as some of the other guys, because we were just looking at it as we want to build a revenue stream, but at the same time, we don't want you going broke doing
So,
throughout the.
so let me get this straight. So Josh, who's paying for this time,
Mhm.
just paid for you to give an amazing new revenue stream idea to the rest of the industry. Josh, I hope you're okay with that, because it's not discussing
I feel
news.
great about it.
All right,
There
good.
you go.
So let me circle this. But no, that's a great idea, actually. And it reminds me of my days when I was doing AM radio, and high school sports was a huge amount of revenue for us. You can never go wrong, because it's faces, it's people, it's
Yes.
the community. It's great. Let's get into the newsroom now, because Clyde,
Yes.
you're not only bringing part thinking of revenue ideas. I'm
Mhm.
assuming you're doing what every other news publisher in the United States or the world, efficiency in news generation. That doesn't mean you want to fire people. It means
Yeah.
you want to increase that story count, increase the quality, but you want to do it cost effectively. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting you put it that way, because we have a very small team. So being efficient is at the core of what we do. Now we have a small team, but a powerful team. People are very good at what they do. And one of the things that I'm just thankful to Evan and Josh about with Nota was, and I explained it to some of them the other day, the tool allowed us to take a process that took us an hour and a half on each story, and broke it to about, we're at a solid 15 minutes now. So, and that's including social media. So, I mean, and I'm being the digital head, I'm digital, social media, and a couple of other things. So it streamlines things where, man, I can get some sleep at night. Let's
Well,
just say that with a smile on my face.
I, I got to tell you, Josh,
We're
let's,
done. There we go.
there we go.
What are the
Thank you for
questions that anyone
attending the eight
has?
Yeah.
minute workshop. No, and let's circle in Josh Brando. You are, of course, the founder, CEO of Nota. Josh's background is extensive in the news publishing industry. You were the CRO at the Los Angeles Times, if I'm correct, and then you were watching efficiencies, keeping an eye on top and bottom lines, and you basically left in order to start to leverage AI into an efficiency mode. Evan, your position there is what, product? I forgot your exact title, sir. You are.
Uh, yeah, COO. So run all the operations here at Nota.
Okay, now we use Nota, and I'm going to back up what Clyde just said. An operation that used to take us, because we take our stories, which are in Word format, and then, of course, right now we're laying out the December issue. So those Word docs are going to our designer, and she's laying out a beautiful magazine. But those same Word docs have to go online in various places, like our newsletters, of course, our online site, our email pushes to 35,000 plus email database. And only, I have to say this to the industry now, as someone who's doing this every day, you don't have the same headlines in a magazine that you do on the internet. And if your CMS is just shoveling the same stuff, I see your head nodding, Clyde, because I understand newsrooms are under a lot of stress now. There's not a lot of support, but a headline when you turn the page is different than a headline that's going to get a click or an open. Am I correct, Clyde? A lead is
1000%.
critical, right? And we have to change the leads. We have to modify content in order to pursue that in critical digital engagement, right, Clyde? That's your mission.
Absolutely. And one of the things that surprised me when and this is my suggestion to anybody and everybody who's on this call. If you decide to get any type of tech, dig deep into it enough to where you're maximizing the use of it as opposed to just using 10 to 15% of it. Because when we initially got Nota, that's where we were, and we made a call to schedule some time to get things really rocking because we wanted to say, all right, well, we want to get at least to 80 to 90% of our use of it. We sat down 2 days with John Sumner, and he broke down things that we could not have even imagined. I mean, from efficiencies from the standpoint of not only headlines, but having posts that mimic the tone of the person who wrote the article. You know what I'm saying? And having that, it does so much for us because our audience is able to see the diversity of our staff as opposed to just some generalized caption put together or some generalized piece put together. I mean, it is really leveled up our approach. And when it comes to keywords and thinking about different things, some of the SEO pieces, you know, our writers, our journalists know about those things. But my humble opinion, I look at it like this: I want you to be great at what you're great at. You write and you are phenomenal at it. That's why we are where we are today. Now, all of the pieces that get thrown at us that we have to morph and build up so that your stuff gets out there, that's on us. That's where Nota came in and made things a lot easier for that process because it's a one-man team right now for us to make that happen. So like I said, an hour and a half to 15 took me down to 15 minutes. I can't say that enough.
All right, now we got 12. We're 12 minutes into this, and it's time now to define Nota, which is a moving target because it's not the same product that I initially took on a year ago to work at an EMP. So, Josh, I see you looking at monitors now. Are you going to take the helm here? I want you to do a live demo showing some efficiency. God forbid you do it with Defender content. I don't know what you have planned for us, but we're going live on the internet with Josh now. Josh, take it away.
Wow. Here we go.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we are evolving. I mean, Nota was started a little over 2 years ago. We can take you through a quick kind of understanding of what we do broadly, and then we can use Defender, the real-time Defender site right now to showcase kind of what you can do with a lot of our tool sets, and then show you a few previews of the things that we're about to come out with.
All right, go ahead.
Excited to be here.
Oh, and I just wanted to say this before he goes there. He says what they're about to come out with. They come out with something new every other week. So keep try to lock in because there's always something new coming in.
Thanks.
All right, here we go. Here's Josh Brando's screen. Good, you got the pornography off. Thank you, I appreciate that. Go ahead.
Okay. So here we are. So we already did a lot of this. We've already covered a lot of what we stand for here. Just to give you some more background, we work with legacy media companies across the entire spectrum. Very large scale companies with huge audience teams, content marketing teams, editorial teams, all the way to very small mom and pop kind of shops and almost individual creators. You can really create a lot of efficiencies no matter what size you are as an organization. So we're very proud to be working with folks across the board: TV stations, radio stations, newspapers, lifestyle publications, universities, radio, you name it. We also have a ton of strategic partners in the landscape. We want to make sure that we're providing value to everyone across the board. And a lot of what that means is listening very deeply to the things that you need to do your jobs more effectively and efficiently. And part of that is through the associations that we're fortunate enough to be members of and partners with. And part of that is obviously our large client base as well. And we're moving into another direction, or a direction that applies a lot of what we do in a deeper capacity. We hear from a ton of our client base that they just want to reduce the amount of friction between creating something, optimizing that thing, and getting that thing out in the world. So we're having consistent conversations with most of the major technology partners that a lot of you use on a daily basis, whether that's social media schedulers, that's analytics companies, you name it. We're thinking about a way in which we can integrate with them from a CMS structure or a technology point of view. And then we also know how newsrooms and audience teams and content marketing teams and sales organizations within media work. So we've created the ability to use our tools across a variety of ways. So we have, as I just mentioned, CMS integrations that go very deep. We have a dashboard that you can utilize, anyone in the organization can have access to. And then we have browser extensions that also allow you to use our tools as you cruise across the internet for efficiency. One of the big differentiations that we have here at Nota is an editorial board that we have internally. So functionally, a lot of what we're doing in AI goes through them first. They vet it, they make it better, and functionally, they make all the outputs that you would see as a customer far superior to any other, off-the-shelf large language model or AI company that you may work with outside of Nota. We're built specifically for you for enterprise grade journalism, and all of our outputs showcase that. And that's due in large part to our editorial team that we have internally, but also in large part to a lot of our client base that's helping to inform that model as well. And our tools work really, really well. These are pretty couch numbers. Clyde just defined time saving that was way more than 50%. So thanks, Clyde. We're going to have to bump this up. That means you can produce a lot more content because you're saving a lot more time when you're producing content. You produce more content, you get greater engagement on that content. Your page views go up. That means your revenue goes up. That means your community that you're serving is happier. That means the efficiency that you're finding is better, so you can sleep at night, as Clyde said, ideally. And then performance in other places is all leading up to helping that happen. And then he also mentioned, this is great, John Sumter, our head of customer success, who helps Clyde get from 20% utilization of our tools to 90+%. We'll see. We're about to release some more, so get on it. That just means that customers love us because we're just here to serve you. We're from your industry. We're staying in your industry. All we want to do is listen to you about what we can do to help you. Continue to improve the ability to distribute the stories that you're working so hard to create. There you go. Everything else is just kind of icing. So if you want to get deep nerdy from a large language model perspective, so if you're using Chat GPT, for example, or Anthropic or something else, we outperform that by a very large margin for what you're trying to do for work. We don't outperform it in a lot of ways that you might be utilizing it to make cool art or poetry or something to that effect. But if you're using this to find efficiencies within the workflows of journalism, we are by far the best large language modeling company to work with in AI. So excited to talk about that. And then I think I mentioned this, but Chartbeat, we just announced a deal with Chartbeat. So if Chartbeat is one of your technologies that you utilize on the front end, we're working with them to find efficiencies to take that information and create newsletters based on those details, social posts based on those details, a lot of ways in which we can help you with efficiencies as it moves through the kind of content creation lifecycle. So that's the razzmatazz.
Let's
what we
see.
do.
Let's go under the hood
And then-
and watch it work, if you don't mind.
Oh, this is if Clyde hadn't started talking. That's a great photo, by the way. Look at that one. Yeah. And as he mentioned, we have Tone Builder, which I think is a pretty significant update that we had to work a very long time on. So functionally, what this allows you to do is get all the way down to a very specific journalist's tone. So we can take 3 pieces of content, 30 pieces of content, 300 pieces of content, and use it to inform our model structure. And then you set up a tone of voice. So if you're just an individual journalist, you can create your own tone of voice. Every output that you're going to see is based on that tone of voice. If it's a section head, like maybe it's sports versus opinion versus world affairs, those can all have different tones of voices. And if it's just publications, perspective, brand style, we can also create that just for that, or all 3. So if you're toggling between more than one, maybe you're working in content marketing or audience, you can also do that. So, hey, I need to do this for this section. I need to do this for this kind of journalist. I need to create a newsletter in this tone of voice. Lots of toggles. You can build as many as you want. We're really excited about this feature.
Yeah, and one of the places that this really worked well for us is there's a big difference. I was talking about the segments that we had earlier with the under 40, the community, and Black women. The under 40 tone is a completely different language than the other two. So one of the things that this allowed us to do that John walked us through with the tone builder, we had our under 40 editor summarize it was 8 stories. She summarized 8 stories, wrote 8 social posts, how she would write them, you know what I'm saying, as she would write them. And what happened was Nota generated a tone and personality around that, so that we got the consistency of, if I have an article by this person, the tone in which we write this caption for Instagram, for LinkedIn, for all of these things is going to line up directly with how this person speaks, as opposed to them having to go into the platform and put it in themselves. So it gives us that consistency.
All right, so let's take a look at how this works. Josh is now live on the Nota interface. Go ahead, Josh, take it away and give us what you're doing.
Yeah. So I was looking at the under 40 section that Clyde just talked about. And I saw what college degrees are least likely to land you a job. I'm assuming it's philosophy, but we'll see. Could be wrong. I just basically scraped it. You can populate it in any way you want. So you can take the URL, put it in there. You can put it in here. You can drop in a pre-publication workflow. So maybe you're working on a story in Google Docs. You just copy paste it into this. And then we have the brand right here. And then the tone of voice. Let's say you have a food tone. We don't want to use that because this is about college, but you can really define the different tones of voice however you want. And then the outputs will change based on that.
Just for those that may not understand, when you say tone of voice, you mean that writing style based on the large language model analyzing the writing styles of that person or that content area, correct? So
so we take we say, hey, what tone would you like this to be an output for? Give us at least 3 pieces of content. The more you give us, the more we can get there. And then it learns that tone of voice, that writing style, how you want to present yourself, and it provides you with an output. It says like, okay, you're bombastic in terms of how you talk. You're effusive in your word choices. You use a lot of adverbs. Does this feel like you? So then we can modify it with you if that doesn't feel like you. If you feel like you're more taciturn or more like brevity's your thing, we can change it up there. And then when you're seeing all of these outputs will be based on what it's learned about your writing style, tone of voice.
So you simply copy and paste it in the text of a story, and it's now giving you suggested headlines, a suggested article summary, we call it a lead or whatever, key points of the article, and it's suggesting exciting pull quotes. Do I have that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Tags for it, categories, and then the magic of what most people hate having to think about, but really makes an impact on your business, is SEO optimization.
This is critical. This is what we use it for.
This is where the win comes in. Yes, that's our strength with it too.
Because we're not smart enough. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say something that I hope no one resents, but we as human beings aren't smart enough to, how should I say this, to know exactly what's optimizing, what words, what phrases, real time, with those critical open rates and engagement, Clyde, which you just said it's the business, right? That's need that engagement. You don't want a billboard in your basement. You want this damn story read, correct?
Yes. God, and you want it in front of the people that you want it to be. That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
And you're not dictating back to the newsroom in this. See, I got to put some caveats because we have so many articles who hate AI. I mean, people who contribute to us. You're not telling the newsroom to follow a flow to gain it. You're taking their content and just modifying how you're presenting it on the internet to gain that traction. Am I correct, sir?
That is exactly right.
Yeah, and that was a big thing for us too, Mike, because our audience felt the same way about AI. But the big problem that we were having was we were doing all this homework on SEO, all this homework on keywords, and like you said, some of us just it gets pretty intricate in detail, but our stuff still wasn't getting to the audience that we wanted to get to. We started using this, and in a matter of days, things changed somehow. So for us, I look at it like this: if we don't get it, that's all right. They get it, so they'll be our helping hand through this process.
I agree. So Josh, show us more, please.
Yeah, so this is also available uh, in, if you have WordPress, for example, if you have Stebo, we have a lot of ways in which this integrates as well into a CMS structure. So if I want to take that same story and then I'm just going to pull it out real quickly in here. So it's just going to scrape that story. Like I'm going to take it, I'm going to copy paste it into WordPress so it looks like I wrote it, for example, because I can't, I'm not a journalist. Um, then we can see, okay, what is the power of this if you get as close as possible? So what we have is the same thing that you would see here from a dashboard perspective. You can analyze this page with our plugin, and you're going to find all of the same sort of features here. And then on the right rail, once we get started, we're going to show you a different other aspect of our publication, or sorry, our tool set that helps publications pretty dramatically. It's kind of like the last check from an editor,
Yeah,
as you'd see it from
that right rail is where the goal comes in for us.
So we're going to select a headline for this. Again, everything is editable. Everything is just there to provide you with options. It's not there to, dictate anything to you. But we're going to say that's the one we want. So it'll automatically update at the top. We can choose an excerpt. We can choose the tags that we want, quotes from there. And then we're going to see a preview of how this is going to be exposed from an organic traffic perspective. And then we have two others places to go. Again, we're at SEO. So we're going to make sure that we create, we select a slug, we select a page title. Let's forget a meta description for purposes of this example. And then all the keywords, they're going to load some, order of relevance to where you want to put these within the story itself to provide you with as much power as possible. And then the last thing that we have here before we go over to the final check is a way in which you can take the same story and then optimize it for posting on each social channel. So we take the best practices for each social platform, apply it to this, and then give you some ways in which you can talk about that story on each of them. So you're going to
And
see LinkedIn being a lot longer, Threads probably being a lot shorter, TikTok, and then SMS, everything you can think of there.
what I'd like to do is invite our audience now. We're halfway through our journey. If you're not getting enough information, if you need something defined a little deeper or richer, please get into the chat room or the Q&A. We're watching them now, and ask those questions as we do these demos so we can put a little bit more meat on the bone. And that's essential. We want you to leave this meeting with an actionable way that you can have much more efficiency in your newsroom. Let me ask a quick question, if I may, back to Clyde while you're here. Clyde, how much pushback are you getting in your newsroom? Is there any resentment from someone who may, I don't want to say this in a snarky way, that has the AP style book, next to their bed at night, where they, if you get my drift, are you getting any resentment or issues with the use of this tool?
We thought we might, but surprisingly, we haven't at all. Because typically, when it comes to the content doesn't get changed. And they're happy because more people are able to see what they do. And it actually gave them a boost, put a little fire underneath them. Hey, this many more, I went from only 200 people to 2,000 people seeing my piece. I got to step it up a little bit. And that was a motivator that we didn't realize was a little underlying, but yeah, we haven't had any pushback up to this point. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, all of that good stuff. So, yeah,
And you're not downsizing your newsroom because of this, correct?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, a lot of people could look at this as a tool that you could run a extremely small newsroom based on this, but for us, we're not downsizing at all. We actually plan on expanding once we dig a little deeper into the app.
All right, back to you, Josh. Keep up the demo, please.
Sure. Thanks, Clyde. So the proof tool is that last kind of piece, that last check from an editor's perspective. So it runs through a bunch of different parameters in terms of content analysis, headlines, SEO analysis, really just trying to provide you with the best chances for your stories to be optimized for organic. We didn't add a meta description, so we highlight that here, and it'll remind you to put that in, and you'll select one, and you can rerun this, and you can really just the score is not going to change because you've just forgotten that. And it looks like I'm assuming Clyde probably ran it through this actual tool set for this actual story already, so that's why it's already pretty much perfect and ready to go.
Yeah.
Um,
What, Josh, if I can say one thing, the one area that this really made everything efficient for us is that bar on the side. It gave us the why something wasn't working. It wasn't a matter of, okay, where Yoast, we might just get change this, change this. Oh, you're getting a red bar for this. You're getting a red bar. They'll tell you the why this isn't working. You only have one keyword in here. You're probably not going to get as much reach. You only have in your slug, it doesn't have any keywords or it's missing that. To me, I'm a explain it to the core person. I don't want it at face value. So when I understand the why, it gives me more premise to say, okay, we can switch these things up and it will work because of X, Y, and Z.
Josh?
yes.
Josh? Okay, you're still there, right, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, I'm just agree.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. So let me address some of these questions. Demetrius is asking, and I think maybe we should make clear, you don't have to input Demetrius. He's asking, we input 3 pieces of content and tool spits out a summary of those 3 pieces. No, what Josh was saying is, and maybe Josh, I hope you don't mind answering, if you give the tone tool 3 pieces of content, it learns a specific tone. But this is for any story. You put in one story and it spits out the summary, spits out the suggested headlines, and helps you get perfect optimization or as best optimization you can. Am I saying that right, Josh? Or did I?
Yeah, I think you're saying that right, but also Demetrius, I mean, I think you're both probably getting to the same thing. So as little as 3 pieces of content that you feel like represent your tone of voice or writing style will train a tone that you can apply to everything from then on. So you could just say, okay, this is my tone, and then everything that you've created past that will have that tone of voice. So yes.
And what you use the summary for, Demetrius is asking, is we use it. We promote our stories in an email newsletter, and we don't just put the headline to get that click. We put the summary. I mean, when we send our email to 35,000 with our exclusive news content, there's that beautiful photo, which again, we've adjusted for the internet to get best engagement, a headline, and then the summary below it that's enticing in order to get someone to say, okay, now I've seen what the story's about. I'm going to click it. Am I right, Josh? That's what most summaries are used for, or leads on the website where you have a headline and a paragraph
Yep.
like we do as well. That's
Exactly right.
right. I mean, my website doesn't just show a headline, it shows a headline and a quick summary of the story in order to get you to click through it. James, with integration to a CMS, for example, WordPress, can the publishing of an article, social media post be scheduled excuse me, a look at James
Async.
async.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Article first, Facebook the next day, etc. Can you answer that question for James?
Yeah, we're not a scheduling tool. We're working with a lot of them. So True Anthem, Social News Desk, Dash, Hudson, Sprout, all of those are in conversation with us so that you can start pushing all the content you create with us through those social schedulers that you have. Um, from a WordPress perspective, you can you publish from WordPress, but everything else you'd have to bring it over to your scheduler currently.
Uh, we also have a question. Does this work with articles in Spanish? You're not bilingual yet, are you, sir?
Ah, we are.
Oh, excuse me. You are.
Yes, it does work with articles in Spanish as of this month.
Okay, that's because it wasn't last time you were asked that question.
Yeah, well, keeping you guys on your toes.
There you go. All right,
Yeah, excited to be working with Spanish. That's a huge breakthrough for us. Happy to talk to anyone about it.
so now we've covered, like, correct me if I'm wrong, some and brief. Vid Pro, have we had a demo on that yet or not, sir?
We have not had any of that. So Brief effectively does what Sum does, but it
Right.
just provides you with what Mike was referring to. So more of the smart brevity-esque, Axios-esque kind of summarization with the bullet points. We can go over that if we have a little time. And then we have Vid Pro and Vid. Vid is the dumbed down tool that I like to use, which effectively just creates a video very simply out of an article. And then Vid Pro provides you with a lot more advanced features that intros, outros. You can add video elements to it, so on and so forth. And we're happy to take you through it.
Please, we still have some time. Give us
Yeah.
the most dynamic demo you want to show us what these tools can do. And I definitely want to touch social before we're done because I think that's critical.
Okay. So let's just hit it up real quick with, let's say, I want to go to sports because Clyde, you talked about that. So if there's a great, there we go, high school sports, athlete of the week. Look at
Look at
this
that
guy.
video. This is a great website.
That's actually pretty cool.
That's very well done. Congratulations, Clyde. Good presentation.
Thank you.
The Colts. Look at these guys. Probably very good. Not the most intimidating name for the school, but probably a very good team.
Not at all.
So we're just going to take that URL right here that we just looked at, put it in here, and I'm just going to show you the simple version. Again, that there's a lot. And what it has done is to take all of the photos from that article itself. We can select as many as you want. You can exclude some that might not make sense. You use the images from the article currently, and then we're going to use the brand. We're going to use a template. We have many templates. You can create your own templates. Whatever you can think of is possible. And then we're going to use a pretty standard aspect ratio. With our Video Pro tool, you can also create more than one aspect ratio at the same time. So if you're creating vertical video as well as horizontal video for different, on-site or off-site, you can utilize that. And then we're going to have some audio that we've created, but you can also upload your own audio. And you can, and if you wish, you can generate images with AI. We don't see very much use of this. A lot of it we're seeing is functionally in like cooking. So an example would be chop up a cucumber. It would generate an image and have that. But if you do use AI for any of this stuff, we have content provenance that is at the highest standard. So it gives it kind of a birth certificate, shows who's created it, what time they created it, what they created it with, what prompt, and if it's been utilized in any other way, it will signal to you that it is AI, and it just tries to be as transparent as possible for you internally. So we're just going to generate really quickly based on what we've just put in. There we go. Let me show you a preview without touching it.
The famous Ken Burns effect. Imagine what that would look like on a social media feed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but the engagement levels go up rather than a still picture when you're doing some form of short form video like that, correct?
Yeah. So the two things that we say when people ask us, what would be the first use case of your tool set? You have all these tools. There's a lot of stuff to do. It's a little overwhelming. How do I show success? We say take some of your evergreen content and then use this tool. And in 5 minutes, you're going to create a brand new engagement profile for a lot of it because people want to engage with video consistently a lot more than they want to engage with anything else.
Exactly.
So that's a really big win. That's immediate for your content library. For recirculation widgets, you can also create stuff that's related to maybe an article that you've already written about a subject. You just quickly create a video of it, put it in a widget, and then all of a sudden you get more page engagement than you have in the past. I think one of the questions that was asked a little earlier was what's the average page view increases or organic search increases? And at large scale, oh, did Evan, you answer?
Yeah,
We're
but
seeing, between 8 and 30+% increase. It's extraordinary in terms of what you'll see utilizing these tool sets from an SEO perspective and then just generating any of these things in a different modality. So we're excited.
It's just efficiency on steroids. You could do this on your own, but you would be taking hours per story or much longer period of time. Now you can simply focus on the journalism in creating the great stories and then increase your engagement in a matter of minutes. This is why we find this an invaluable tool. There you've just
That's entirely the point of what we do as an organization. We just want to take all of the stuff that has been just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed on journalists over the last few years or many years, and the expectations of all the things they need to be doing when honestly this technology's breakthrough ability is to provide you with the optimization and distribution so that you can just tell that story in the way that matters. You can tell more stories about the community or areas of interest than you ever could before because we can do these things for you. But
Heather,
we never want to get to a place where we are the ones, creating the story.
Heather's asking the $1 million question that I was going to ask. And ENP is starting its own Blue Sky account as we speak. Are you going to be adding Blue Sky soon?
What a hot, look at off the presses, Blue Sky. I mean, yeah, since we've seen the massive uptick in Blue Sky, this is the first time I've had that request though in
Yeah.
a public forum.
Well, it's only been in the matter of weeks that this thing's been taking off.
Yeah.
All right. So, what else you want to show us? The text to image. This looks interesting.
I mean, that's effectively what we've just seen, but what we're going to do here is create a carousel very quickly for, oh, sorry. Uh, the big exciting thing here is logos, to be honest. Everyone wanted the ability to put a logo uh, onto some effective slides. So we're going to take this one, this one, this one, use these images. We're going to use the same kind of clean lines one for this. We're going to do a 1 by 1. And then we're going to generate the ability for you to we're effectively creating a 3-slide carousel for you. This probably needs to be, let's go with the background color that's easier to see the Defender logo. And now you can just use the logo settings. I want it upper left. I want it to scale it up, make it noticeable. And then I want to do the same thing for all of them. You can change the text color. You can change, the font, everything you want, you can imagine very, very quickly. And then all of a sudden you have a carousel ready to go.
Okay, Josh, I'm gonna be totally transparent with you. I just learned something because I knew about the video, but I didn't know about the carousel aspect because we build carousels all day, but this generates them with that, and you can have the effects on them on top of that. I'm gonna be using this
Yeah.
today.
Hey, there we go.
All right.
Now you're
So
99%, Clyde. Now you have it all.
we still got a few more minutes left to do in the demos. So, what's next on your
Yeah, so
on
thank
your
you.
buffet here?
Where we're going are a few things. So if you're a small market radio station, actually, if you're taking notes as a journalist in general or TV station, what this does is it takes transcripts, very geniusly called script. It takes transcripts of anything that you're working on, and then uses a retrieval augmentation, whatever. It goes into your archives and then augments that transcript. So what we found is a lot of transcripts are very light on actual information compared to an article. So in order to create an article out of it, you have to do a lot more research. So how do we unlock the value of these transcripts for local market TV and radio broadcasts, for example, and make them into articles for their website? So we take the topic, we strip it of all of the transcript data that comes with it, and then we go into your own archives, and if it's a topic that's already been addressed in some capacity, we use that to augment the story itself. So what the editor is going to see is a version that is far more flushed out than what they would have seen of just having the transcript. So the ability there is for a lot more of the work you're doing in a radio broadcast or an on-air broadcast to translate over to your digital site. So that gets you a lot more engagement. That gets you a lot more, frankly, revenue. And it can be used for syndication as well.
What if you're a reporter and you just do a basic interview using a Zoom tool that generates an MP3 file? You'll throw that in and get a quick audio transcript. Will this help you build a story? Although the reporter will still do the final editing, I want to add, and even pull quotes and pull quotes from that as well.
So the idea is that is exactly right. So if you're taking notes, audio notes, as well as any reporter does, you can throw this in there. It'll structure a story for you, put it in your tone of voice, you review it, you edit it, and then you can optimize it through all the other tools that we've shown you. So you can optimize it for on-site publication, get the right SEO optimization ready for you, and then you can make a video out of it. You can make social posts out of it. You can make a newsletter out of it. We're really excited about this tool.
As you should be, and this will keep advancing, I'm sure. So especially now that we have events to cover, like school board meetings, correct? And city council
Well,
meetings.
that's our next tool.
Oh,
Yeah.
Vanna just flipped the letter for you. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes.
So that this tool was created specifically for exactly that: school board meetings, national, anything on C-SPAN, effectively anything on local broadcast, but it really any live or archive video feed. It live transcribes um, that feed itself, but then you can put in some semantic parameters around it. So you can search live feeds for your topics of interest or your beat that you're covering. So if it's energy policy and there's 15 congressional hearings happening today, and 5 of them might mention it within an hour, 2 or 3. Instead of having to watch all of them yourself, which is kind of impossible at this point, it will send you a notification and a clip of when people were talking about that with the transcript and the timestamp to your Slack channel, an email, whatever you want, so that you can go and review that at your leisure. Again, it's not something that's going to automate anything besides just showing you the time when people talked about an area that you are covering. And then you have to go in and make sure that they weren't being sarcastic or that our tools weren't, hiccuping. So it's just an assistive tool to help you really accelerate your ability to see more of the world around us so that you can tell us more important stories.
This is groundbreaking, and as this advances, we get back into being able to generate the stories that, unfortunately, due to our downsizing as an industry, we've had to not. It's hard to put a reporter at every school board meeting, especially if you're covering a large DMA. This can give you the tools you need to give to still cover it and have that information on your site. Brilliant. And
That's
what
right.
else? What else is in beta?
And then last, we
Yeah.
understand, Clyde has made a very good point of this. We understand we have a lot of stuff. And there's so much you can do with it. It takes quite a bit of understanding and use. I'd say you can get started with our tools on a fundamental level in 45 minutes. John Sumter, again, shout out to John, is amazing at onboarding folks, but to really get all the value out of it, it takes a little bit of time and effort. And we're gonna constantly be updating it to provide more benefits. Where we're going with that in Q1 is effectively we're going to take a lot of that pressure off of you in terms of what you need to know about our capabilities. You put in the story that you've told in any format that you've told it in, and you ask us, I want social posts for this, I want a video of this, I want a newsletter of this, I want an audio file of this, and it will provide you with a suite or a package, if you will, of all those things in every other format that you can edit and then push out. That's where we're going.
And of course, ChatGPT offers you this as well. They have hundreds of operators and people. I'm kidding. If you're simply using a ChatGPT, you're not going to get this kind of support, and especially support that understands the industry and is constantly knowing how this industry needs to be more efficient. I just gave you a quick plug for those that are now paying $20 a month to ChatGPT to do similar functions,
Yeah.
Josh.
And one thing on what Josh was saying, the front end work is super important. Spending that time on building the tones, building your page, getting your brand package, everything in there. We're still in the process of doing it right now for some areas, but it's so necessary in making sure that the tool works at its highest level for you and you get all that you can out of it. So, if I give you any advice for once you get the tool, spend the time up front, ask all the questions you need to ask, and build that foundation. And the sky's the limit from there.
Okay, so now we're near the end of our journey. When I got onboarded, Josh, it was like 1 minute. I said, Josh, we want to start using this tool, and all I had to do was I was using it. This is not like you have to recode your website or anything like that.
No.
Onboarding is easy. However, when it comes to now the new integrations you have, that takes a little bit more time, I assume. I mean, integrating it with WordPress, but this is all simple, correct? It's all turnkey, Josh?
It's very, very easy. Yeah. So with the integrations we currently have, it's just a plugin that you turn on. We give you the API key. We tell you how to do it, and then you just go. For all the tools that we have, I think John's gotten it down to a 45-minute tutorial where he answers a lot of questions, and we have a ton of documentation and support that we also do for you. So if you ever have questions, we're always available to provide you with solutions. And we just love hearing from everyone, because all the tools you've just seen that we're excited about, putting out in the market is not our ideas, it's our clients' ideas.
Evan, we have a great question from Richard. How small is too small for your customers? We have less than 10 people. Evan, Richard, you're not alone. Having a new Clyde, how many in your newsroom? I mean, if I may be so bold, including stringers, what are you looking at?
I'd say we're at a solid 10.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we have about 12. Evan, this is not uncommon. You have very small newsrooms you're working with, right?
No, we work with newsrooms of 2 to 3 people, actually single individuals, who are, just very passionate about serving their communities, all the way up to, publicly traded companies and everything in between. So, no company is too small to leverage these tools. They apply to anyone who is doing anything digitally, and we're here to provide you with the solutions at, a rate that, makes sense for your respective organization. So, we're happy to work with anyone.
Josh, what does it take now to get started? I mean, I know this doesn't cost a lot of money, and I'm not going to mention the price point, but it's very, very cost effective for any newsroom. I mean, this is not Clyde. This didn't break your budget. Am I right? I mean,
Thankfully, it didn't. A lot of people that we compared them to did, so it was quite refreshing to run into these gentlemen. So yeah, no, definitely didn't break the bank.
so Josh, what's
Yeah,
next? Where do they go? How do they learn more? What do you need?
you reach out to sales at Hey Nota, or you can just email us individually. It's very easy to remember. It's Josh at Hey Nota or Evan at Hey Nota. Um, we would be at nota.com, but that's way too expensive as a URL. So
Yeah,
we want to you keep the costs down. We want to transfer them to you. So we're Hey Nota.
I like
Um,
Hey Nota. I mean, it's fine. And by all means, again, you got two of their customers on this, Clyde and me, both giving. We're very selective about which marketers we allow to do these webinars. The tool has to work. We have to know it's valuable, and we want to make sure we're doing customer testimonials. Clyde, you didn't get paid for this, right? You're doing this out of the goodness of your heart, I assume.
Absolutely not. But I'm thank you for inviting me, seriously, because I like I said, I learned some things too. So this was a great meeting.
Well, I guess we're done. Josh, any final words for our audience?
no, we just hope to work with all of you. If we haven't already worked with you, or if you've been considering us for a while, we're really excited to talk to you. Please consider us for your budgets for 2025.
Evan, any final take? You're just smiling and pointing.
Well, no, I think that's exactly right. Josh just mentioned we want to definitely be in the minds of, organizations as they plan for 2025. And we know that we can provide you with a robust suite of tools at an affordable rate that you can, work with us on. And so, yeah, reach out and let's chat.
Josh, why don't you put up that final screen you had up before with information for
All
our
right.
audience as they click off? I want to thank all of you who registered to attend. This webinar will be available as a recording before end of day. If you're in our database of registrants, we will send you a link to the recording before end of day. Please share it with your team members, bosses, other people in your newsroom to get their opinion. We are very proud to have Nota as a marketing partner. We thank everyone for their valuable time. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Clyde. Really appreciate it. Thanks,
Thanks.
Mike. Always a
Thanks.
pleasure.
Thanks, Josh.